connecting a lot of different little pieces into this whole big puzzle of what we need to do in order to improve our community using the resource that we have available to us of that lot on the corner there. So today what we're going to talk about is watersheds. Okay, and this is an idea that was introduced to you on the one worksheet that we did. That on the front it was just a big chart of a bunch of water quality tests that we were doing. And then on the back side, it had some questions. And then there was a document on Canvas that had some information to help y'all answer it. And I think a lot of people did the front side, but didn't really get to the back side. And then things got crazy with us going out to the river. And so we kind of forgot about it. So I want to just kind of give us a little bit of an overview about watersheds here. And then we're going to do a quick activity about watersheds. And then we're going to move on. Watersheds. Watershed is an interesting idea because watershed is an amount of land. Can you guys see this okay? Is this right? I have a different kind of marker than I had before. So it's an amount of land, but very specifically, it's the amount of land that drains water to the same place. So the example here, the classic situation would be when a drop of rain hits the ground, where does it go next? It's obviously going to run downhill, right? And it's going to ultimately run downhill until it gets to where? The ocean, probably, right? Most places. Do you guys know if a drop of land, if a drop of water lands on Penn High School, where does it go eventually? What? The St. Joe River, right? Gets there pretty quick, actually. Gets to St. Joe River. Where's the St. Joe River go? Michigan, right? Anybody ever been to the place where St. Joe River goes into the Lake Michigan? It's in St. Joe, Michigan. Can you believe that?
Isn't the St. Joe River one of the only rivers in the world that flows from south to north?
I think so. But yeah, so the amount of land that drains water to the same place. So the St. Joe River goes to Lake Michigan. Where's Lake Michigan go to, by the way?
The ocean.
Eventually, right? It goes up through the other Great Lakes a little bit and out into the Atlantic Ocean is where it ends up going. And so that's where our water goes. How about have you guys ever driven, if you drive, here's a fun homework assignment for you. Just go driving on the bypass, drive west on the bypass, like to South Bend. Drive to, I can't remember exactly. I think it's in the, there's a sign for it. I think it's in the space between the Michigan Street exit and the next one, or it could be the one after that, but it's right around there. There's a sign, and it says north. You don't have to write this down if you don't want to. South Continental Divide. I used to live out that way, and I drive by that sign every morning. What does this mean? Anybody know? It means it's a hill. Okay, so this is like me cutting the land in half and looking at the side of the land. Okay? And on this side of the land, if a raindrop hits the ground, it flows down into the St. Joe River, just like we talked about. But if it hits on this side of the bridge, or of the ridge, it flows down. It goes all the way down to the Mississippi River, eventually. There's, of course, smaller rivers before it gets there, but it gets to the Mississippi River. I won't write the whole thing. So, I don't have room. So, but the North-South Continental Divide is the place where that division happens. So if you go up there, if you go up the top of that hill and you stand up there and pee, guess what happens? Half your pee. Do you see that? Is that not cool? Now you're all going to try it, right? Please don't trespass. Okay? So there's not a lot of communities in the world that have a continental divide right there in them. But the Continental Divide is that place that separates the watersheds. And so there can be places that separate the watershed that you might think of like as small watershed. There's actually watershed maps that you can look up, like for small watersheds. Like, what about like the Jude Creek watershed? There is such a thing, right? So there's little ones too that lead into the big one, and so or that are actually part of the big one. So that's kind of how that goes. Okay, so now this is actually the end of the notes. I really actually don't have any more to say about this. Okay, but you can kind of fill in a lot of details yourself, just thinking about it right now. Like we've talked about what happens when water flows to a certain place and how if you have pollution up here, right? What happens to that pollution? It ends up down here, right? But if the pollution was over here, it'd end up in a different place. And so sometimes that has really big consequences for bigger, important things, right? All right. Next thing, on your page here, I want you to write down this. Raindrop 1. And I want you to leave yourself about, 4 or 5 lines of space. Okay? And then raindrop 2. And then another 4 or 5 lines of space. And raindrop 3. And you're going to need some more space. And what I want you to do is I want you to go to Canvas. And on today's Canvas assignment, where it says, here is the link you need, that's where I want you to click. And this is a pretty cool website. It will show you where it can rain, or when it does rain, where will a raindrop go? And so I want you to find some interesting places. So maybe you want to do one that's close to home here. Maybe you want to try one. Maybe you've got some family that lives somewhere else, or some friends, or maybe you used to live in a place and you want to know where the rain goes. But I want you to pick 3 places. And so like it says, click to drop a raindrop anywhere in the contiguous United States and watch where it ends up. Okay? And then I want you to write down the path that raindrop will follow. Do that 3 different times for raindrop 1, 2, and 3. Sound good? So go ahead and get started on that. Last thing I want to say, just kind of before I just kind of lose everybody's attention here, is that when you're finished with that, there are also on Canvas, there are some videos right here that are kind of a nice little review of albedo. There's a lot of videos here, just an FYI. Looks like I need to fix this link here. I'll look at that in a second. But there's a bunch of them here, and I'd like you to do a little bit of a review of albedo because we will be doing a quiz on that next time. Okay? And so what I want you to do is watch the videos, as many of them as you feel like you need to watch. And then, hey, are you listening? Are you guys listening? Write yourself down some notes on right here on an index card that you may have with you during the quiz. Sound good? So those are the 2 things I want you to do here.